Hi everyone, it's Majori here from the Punk Priestess and happy Witchy Wednesdays. We are going to talk about the astrology of the week, the Sabian symbols, pull some tarot cards, and we have a very big week ahead. This is going to be the week of the Aries Full Moon. It's been talked about a lot this month in astrology circles because this moon has a lot of significance to not only Trump's chart, but Kamala's. So we'll see what goes on at the election at the end of this week, but also too, like in our own personal lives, really reflecting on what we want to initiate, what we want to, really put that Aries drive and motivation towards, and what has been like in the works since Aries season, since the last eclipse in Aries. So we're going to go over the transits of the week and then talk about the Sabian symbols too. The Sabian symbols are very profound. There are quite a bit of Sabian symbols I'm going to be talking about, and as always, this is in depth on my Substack. So make sure you're subscribing to the Punk Priestess Substack and also listening to the podcast if you'd rather listen to an audio format of this Witchy Wednesdays forecast. So we're going to start with just kind of recapping a little bit of the 16th of Wednesday, the 16th. And we talked about this last week, but on this day, we do have Venus trining Neptune. And this is at 27 degrees and 50 minutes of Scorpio and 21 degrees and 51 minutes of Pisces. So we have this water trine coming in. On the 17th, there's a lot going on this day, but we have first Venus sextiling Pluto. So Venus is going to enter Sagittarius on this day, but before it does, it's going to make a sextile to Pluto. So at 29 degrees and 1 minute of Scorpio, and Pluto is at 29 degrees and 38 minutes of Capricorn. So Pluto is now direct again. And it is, all this watery energy, like this Venus Scorpio energy has really been having a moment, and it is like a lot of deep unearthing on a more spiritual, esoteric level. It's just like, there's a cleanse, there's a healing, it's erupting, and we're taking note of it. It's a lot of like hard emotions, a lot of hard truths, hard conversations, hard awarenesses that, we're facing the shadow, and it's like the emotional capacity we have to face our shadow and our collective shadow in this country. But it's like, do we have the emotional maturity to sit with ourselves and reflect on what needs to be changed, and maybe think about, oh my gosh, am I the problem? Or is it something external that is kind of affecting our psyche? So, this Venus Scorpio energy has really brought up a lot the past couple weeks, and we'll kind of see what happens with Venus entering Sagittarius. It's definitely a different vibe, a little bit more spontaneous, a little bit more philosophical, and it's kind of like, all right, we're going to find the philosophy in our experience and our emotions and trying to make sense of them and see how they can kind of expand in a broader context. So we also have this major full moon in Aries. This is going to be at 24 degrees and 34 minutes, I'm sorry. So we are going to be talking about this Sabian symbol for 25 degrees Aries. But this full moon is very interesting. I'm trying to make sense of it myself. Of course, in hindsight works very well with astrology to kind of see what these transits are trying to tell us. But, this Sabian symbol for Aries, I think you're going to find it very interesting, and we're going to talk about that. And the last eclipse season that we had a new moon eclipse in Aries, and you could have actually seen it if you were in the United States. But it's just kind of interesting how much has changed in 6 months, not only like collectively, but personally, like with our own ambition. And even my life personally, I'm just like, wow, like who knew this was gonna be something that I was like going to have to navigate 6 months from now. So a lot can change in 6 months. But I do feel like this moon is, there's a lot of confusion with the Sabian symbol. So, I think it's for a reason why we have like a gap of transits. There's not much going on between the 17th to the 22nd. We have like a couple days off from any major aspects, and I think this is because whatever this full moon is bringing, like we need some time to process. So we're also going to be talking about next week. We have the sun squaring Pluto. So this is on the 22nd and through the 23rd of this month. And this is 29 degrees and 4 minutes of Libra, squaring 29 degrees and 39 minutes of Capricorn. So it's like right before Libra season leaves, it's going to be squaring Pluto. We have on the 22nd, Mercury trining Saturn. So Mercury is in Scorpio right now. So it's at 13 degrees and 11 minutes of Scorpio and 13 degrees and 11 minutes of Saturn in Pisces. So Saturn's retrograde. So, you know, we're going back to some of these degrees here, but we are going to be talking about the Sabian symbols for 14 degrees Scorpio and 14 degrees Pisces. On the 22nd, the sun enters Scorpio. So that's going to be the start of Scorpio season. And then we also have Venus trining the North Node. So Venus in Sagittarius at 5 minutes and 14 minutes will be trining Aries at 5 degrees and 14 minutes. So that's going to be really pivotal because this Aries energy with the North Node, it's like really healing this masculine energy. And also like with this moon too, this full moon in Aries, it's like this warrior energy, this warrior-esque energy making itself known. And yeah, it's either like, you know, if you know Aries energy, myself included, you either like, you have to, the Aries energy will go off on you. Like, yes, that anger is valid. It will go off, but you have to push it. Aries aren't normally reactive. They're not a very reactive sign, but you have to push them. It's like once they reach their boiling points, they will go off. And, you know, I think that's what this moon is trying to show. But then there's also like the easy forgetting and forgiving, not really forgetting, but Aries are quick to forgive and like move on. And I kind of have a feeling like with this Venus trying the North Node, it's like, okay, we're trying to smooth things over. And we're going to be talking about this next week. I'm not going to cover it in this week's astrology, but we will have the start of Mars sextiling Uranus. And this is going to start on the 24th, but it's going to carry us into next week, the following week, so until the 26th. So we're going to go over that next week. But let's kind of pull some tarot cards and kind of see like what the vibe of this week is. I'm going to use my new deck today. I'm super excited about. So this is called Rosa Obscura, and this is a new tarot deck by Orla Bird. She's a Croatian artist, and I just created an unboxing video of this deck, and that will be available shortly on my Substack, so look out for that. But we will post some cards. And if you are, you know, a personal client of mine, I've already started pulling cards from this deck for personal readings. So you kind of get a little tidbit there, but it's a deck I'm super excited about. And I'm extremely picky with the decks that I use. I don't buy decks very often. And I think this year, I think I've only bought, honestly, like 3 decks this year, which is like really rare because last year I bought quite a bit. Like I think I bought maybe like 5 new tarot decks, but like this year it really has been like 3 decks, and both of them, besides this tarot deck, has been Oracle. So yeah, very picky. The tools that you use are so important to you, and you have to really resonate and vibe with them. And as an artist and designer myself, art is so important. Like I have to really connect with the illustration, the color, everything before I purchase a deck. So very meaningful for me. We're going to start with the main energy, just kind of, you know, get the vibe, see what's going on. And also I do want to say, on my Instagram today, I just posted my availability for readings for October and November. I think in October, I only have maybe 4 or 5 more days open, and then I'm fully booked. And then in November, my bookings are kind of already filling up. So take advantage. All right. Main energy here. And for those of you who are new to listening and also my YouTube. I just wanted to tell you that if you are interested in some of these cards and you also want to see the full spread picture of this reading, it's available on my Substack. So every week I list all of the cards and the decks that they come from and link them so you can purchase them and support the artist. And then I also include a picture of the spread. So this is interesting. I have here the Ten of Pentacles upright, and I have this Oracle card of ego. You know, the Ten of Pentacles is really reminding me of Saturn's last hurrah. Pluto's last hurrah in Capricorn. Like, you know, it's kind of thinking about, you know, this, and we're gonna, you know, I mentioned the Sabian symbol for the past couple months of 30 degrees Capricorn, which are people making executive decisions. And it's like the president, it's CEOs, it's people in positions of authority making critical decisions. And, you know, we have this ego energy. We all have an ego. We all have an ego, and we all have to either bring our seat to the table or we're already seated at the table with the Ten of Pentacles. And, you know, usually this is a card where you find fulfillment, contentment, you feel like you're seated at the right table. And this could be, you know, an ego driven thing of like, okay, I've made it to this table, or my ego has gotten me to this table. I'm surrounded with other people at this table who have like an ego as well. I mean, our ego keeps us like alive. It's our survival, but it's also making sure that who we have at the table are the right people. So there's a lot here, but it could also, you know, let's kind of see what happens with this full moon in Aries, because there might be an ego trying to disrupt the status quo. I mean, we already know what that is illuminating to when it comes to some candidate that is running that has a huge ego and is all about, you know, kind of going against the Constitution here, like the established law and order, which is the Ten of Pentacles, like they're against law and order, clearly with all their criminal court cases pending. But the Ten of Pentacles here is just like, you know, we're establishing ourselves. And it's just kind of thinking in your life, like what, you know, tables do you belong to? How did your ego play in getting yourself at these tables? And, you know, it is a card of fulfillment, but we all have an ego, but we want the right one at the right table, because this is going to, you know, make executive decisions and rule over us. And I think it's really important that we have the right people seated at the right table. And trying to, you know, create abundance, prosperity, and happiness for all. And that's the Ten of Pentacles. It's like, you know, it's not just us getting fed, we're feeding and nurturing others. And it's very communal, it's very collective with the Ten of Pentacles as well. But it's like, we're not just like we still have self-interest. It's not all just about self-interest with our ego. It's also about trying to, you know, have everyone be fed and have a plate. So we're going to see how this develops here. And it was interesting how last week's reading, it was very ambiguous and interesting. And you know, there was like masculine energy, and then there was feminine energy, and it just kind of felt like this swirl of like confusion and misunderstanding. But as like a week has gone by from initially pulling those cards in last week's Witchy Wednesdays, I do kind of start understanding the meaning of those cards, and things are not as dismal as it seems. That's the plan. I'm going to post some videos on my Substack that kind of talks about, you know, a little bit of the energetic vibe and why. And, you know, we have to, you know, we can reflect this to our own personal life, but we also collectively, like this is, you know, we only have like 20 something more days until this election. And I saw on Instagram, someone was like, yeah, we're one menstrual cycle away. So I thought that was kind of funny, but you know, it is definitely, there's like a lot of Neptunian Pisces energy of this retrograde, and we're going to be talking about that with the Sabian symbols. But don't feed into the hype. Don't feed into the hype of fear. That's what they want. So we have here the Three of Pentacles reversed. We have the Knight of Cups upright, and then we have this Nine of Cups. And this is something that we're going to see this week of the Sabian symbols, as well as like continuously in 2025. Last year I was asked by Llewellyn, one of the first witchy publishers in this country, to write a piece on the Sabian symbols for 2025. And if you read them and you read like my interpretation of findings of the Sabian symbols, they are rather optimistic. And I do feel, we have to keep the light shining. We have to keep optimism at an all-time high. And we have our Knight of Cups here. We have our Nine of Cups. I mean, Nine of Cups is when wishes and dreams come true. It's like just so much infinite potential and abundance. And it's just really feeling like our cup is full, feeling like we have an opportunity to pursue our destined path in life. And I just think that this is very beautiful, that we need to just continue to reflect and recall our dreams into existence. We need to focus on manifestation. We need to focus on abundance mentality, not a lack them mentality. Lack them fear-based mentality and scarcity minded, that is low vibrational. If you try to envision opportunity, positivity for your future, yet that is high vibration. It takes so much more energy to focus on low vibration than it does higher vibration. And we kind of get lost in the mix of that. And that's, the Nine of Cups is kind of trying to remind us, like, no, like you're here for a reason. Your soul is here for a reason, and it is to live in a beautiful life and to follow your dreams and go after your ambition. And the Nine of Cups here wants you to live a very beautiful life. We have the Knight of Cups too, which it's just kind of like a knight in shining armor. I mean, gender inclusive here. It's just kind of like a light bearer. It's someone who inspires you to dream. It inspires leadership. It inspires peace. It inspires, I guess, potential. It's like, here's potential. Take this cup and, drink from this Nine of Cup. And it's just very beautiful that we have this energy around us. We can look at our mentors. Maybe this is family. Maybe we're the beacon of light in other people's lives. This could definitely be Kamala here. And I was thinking this as a Black biracial woman myself. I was like, it's such a pity that we have, someone like Trump, who shouldn't even be eligible to run, who should really be imprisoned. We have him taking away the light of this beautiful opportunity for a Black woman in this country to get to this platform. And it's just, it's just really unfortunate that we can't settle in this happiness, that someone with just so much ambition, but just, really wants to do right. And she's a Libra Sun, Aries Moon, Gemini rising. I mean, if that, doesn't tell you anything, then I don't know what will. But it's just someone that, that's just a beautiful combination of the top three in general. But, we have someone who's like wants to fight for the underdog, who's been the underdog, but also that loving kindness and balance and looking out for others. And, it's just this very beautiful energy. I just want us to all take some time to celebrate that we've gotten here. And, even just thinking like 8 years ago, we had Hillary, running. And it's like, I really do think it's a great testament for really opening up, women to, getting this far. And like, Kamala will succeed with the astrology, but it's going to be a fight. But she has the Aries moon to get her through the battle. But I just want us to really take some time. Don't focus on the negativity. I mean, if you want to drive by and flick off the Trump signs as you go, do so for your health. That's what I do. My middle finger has been tired, but it's just kind of how you take back your power from people who diminish you. And no one knows how to fight more than a Black woman in this country. And I think that we have this shining beacon of hope with the Knight of Cups here in Kamala. And we really want to make sure that we take time to just really, like, this is such a historical, beautiful moment. And, you can just feel the leadership. You can just feel the positivity. You can just feel the experience. And she's super intelligent and just so much like awareness, and you can just tell so much lived experience. And that's just one thing we need. We need someone who has lived a different experience in life. And, you know, a minority has a different experience in this country, and it hasn't been spoon-fed, had to work hard, and also just so much, you know, racism and discrimination and prejudice that you have to go through. Even myself, and I have a little bit of privilege being half white, but even like I've been through a lot of racial issues in my life, you know, ever since I was a child. And I know for sure it hasn't been on the level of some other people, but I mean, it's a huge, has been a huge impact in my life and how I strive to give light and hope to others, and so that they can find their way through. But I feel like I love this Knight of Cups. It is like our knight in shining armor, our savior in a way of, keep the light alive, keep this beacon of hope alive. We have the Three of Pentacles, and it's a little bit of a lack of teamwork and cooperation, and we know where that's coming from. But I think in our own lives, we really want to make sure, we are aligning with people that have a similar value system, but also just knowing when it's just not worth it. It's just like, you know what, I can't like create around this energy, or I can't create with you or in this place, in this environment, in this ecosystem. But it's just kind of like there's those that will refuse to see the light, that will refuse to see the potential, that refuse to be in faith and optimistic. And then, like there's the ones who, they just embody that sense of faith. And I think we need to move towards this sense of faith, and we have to leave people, to find themselves in the dark. And the Three of Coins, it's just knowing when it's just not worth the journey anymore, knowing when maybe people aren't interested in teamwork, maybe some people aren't interested in cooperation. And that's going to be an issue as we're moving into the age of Aquarius next month. Like we have to all be about the community. We have to all be about the collective. But just kind of seeing like in your life with the Three of Coins, like what is not working for you any longer, and where do you not want to put any time or resources? And, I think that is a big testament to not having your dreams and ambitions blocked. So, it's just don't have anyone or anything add darkness to your light. So, and we're going to see this with the Sabian Symbols. This is a huge message here, how we have to stay optimistic. We have to build new dreams. And it's interesting that we're pulling the Ten of Pentacles here, because I'm having like this little witchy party dinner. And one of the things that we're going to be doing, one of the little fun projects, is that we're going to all write about our visions for the future and what we would like to see for the future, what we would like to see, not only for the future for ourselves, but the future for this country. And we have to keep the light alive, because there's so much beautiful things, and we will refuse to see the negativity. This is the new deck that I'm pulling from. I have the beautiful Empress and I have the Ace of Swords. I mean, this is just this very beautiful feminine energy. And we have to remember in tarot, we have the Fool, we have the Magician, we have the High Priestess, which is our first actual gendered card of a female. And then we have the Empress. And then we move to the more masculine archetypes of the Emperor and the Hierophant. And this is kind of saying, like, with the Ace of Swords, this is Libra energy. And this is counsel from a female perspective. This is fertility. This is reproduction. This is that receptive peacefulness. I mean, this could, represent Kamala here, but I do think, there's so much abundance. We have the pomegranate imagery in tarot is all about fertility and abundance. I just think that there's just so much positivity in the spread coming along, and it's just like we need the right ego in the right place. We need someone of sound mind. And I think this is really saying like Kamala is going to be this person, be this beacon of light to try to get this country unified again, because there's been so much evil that has been trying to tear it apart and put people against each other. The Nazi movement is literally repeating itself in fascism. And this is really saying, like, we're going to have this female perspective come in with the Empress. And we're going to see what happens on Thursday with this full moon in Aries. A lot of it is predicting Trump's demise, or he is going to have he already has like dementia and a lot of health issues, but we're going to see that come in. But who knows if he's going to be able to continue to run. But I do feel that this is really confirming this beautiful womanly power and energy. It's like womanhood of the Empress. And it's also looking after children. It's like children, it's protecting children with the Empress, it's pregnancy, it's fertility. But there's just a lot of beautiful new ideas, a lot of new seeds being planted with the Ace of Swords, and they're the right ones. I'm gonna pull some cards here. I'm gonna pull from an oracle deck as well. So, and this is something that as well, I've talked about this when I taught in person in Detroit. I taught a class on the election and how Kamala will win. But what's going to be the issue is that Trump and his party are going to continuously, if Trump survives, he's going to continuously try to undermine the results. Again, we're going to have, you know, a repeat of like January 6th. And it's going to be more intense. And, you know, with her astrology, and I'll post, I don't really have time. We'll see. It's a busy season right now of readings. If I will have time to post this on my Substack, but this is really saying, I'm going to have another astrologer who already wrote this piece on their Substack. I'll repost their article about how, you know, we are going to have a lot of challenge and difficulty with Kamala being the first Black woman president, because there's so much racism and sexism in this country still. You wouldn't think in 2024, but you know, here we are. But how was it ignited? How, you know, did it come up? Well, we know why. So we have the 10 of Wands, a burden. So there's a burden. You know, everyone has a cross to bear, but the right people need to be in a position to help carry this cross. And like in our own personal lives too, it's just, there's so much beauty, there's so much positivity. The 9 of Cups and the Empress and the 10 of Pentacles are some of the most positive cards. The Ace of Swords, new ideas of assumption, so positive. But then we have the 10 of Wands, and then we have the 3 of Coins and this ego card. And it's just like, who in our own personal lives are trying to undermine our gifts, our talents, and our abilities? You know, we're not here to be cruel and be evil. We're here to really try to bring a lot of affection, peace, love, and harmony to others and to animals and to this earth. And that's another huge thing. I'm not going to get into it now, but climate change is really going to be one of the main issues that we're going to be faced with the next, you know, decades, the next century. And this is another thing that I feel we're going to have some new insights about with the Ace of Swords here. We have to have a lot of new ideas of how we handled this, because we just saw what happened with these past 2 hurricanes, and it's because of climate change. And we're the problem. Humans are the problems. Nature is trying to heal itself and fight back, and we're the virus. I'm going to pull a card here. So this is from the Death Doula Oracle. I've used this Oracle deck before, but it's been a couple of weeks. I also have an unboxing video I'm going to post on my page as well. All right, I mean, okay. So I think the spread's really clear, and we all know this. We're the conscious collective know the dishonesty that's around us, and this is Neptune and Pisces. It's disillusionment. It's trying to disillusion and, you know, gaslight people of the truth. And there's a lot of dishonesty here, and this dishonesty is going to wreak havoc on not only this election, but going to carry into 2025 and beyond, and eventually it will start a civil war. I'm just going to read a little bit about what the Devil card has to say as I spill this card. I love this guidebook because it's very insightful. And if you're interested in getting this deck, I definitely recommend it because this is one of the best guidebooks I've ever received before. And this is for dishonesty. So there's a little bit about the cards in this guidebook, and there's also a little exercise. So dishonesty. This card implies dishonesty, not from another, but from yourself. How have you been deceiving yourself? What are the stories you've been telling yourself? What narratives have you been adhering to? What have you been ignoring that needs attention? What comforts do you hide behind? So this is, a good counsel for us to reflect on dishonesty in our own life and how we're not being truthful, but also, how we're maybe deceiving others. But then it's like collectively, like how are we being deceived, or who is deceiving us? And, unfortunately we have Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and then we have Neptune. Saturn will go direct, but it's going to be, in November. So we still have some time, but it's not going to be, until next year, until Neptune goes direct. So we still have some time with this Mercury, just very Mercury energy that's like why we have to follow the light when we're on the bottom of the ocean floor. We have to find our way up to breathe. We also have to stay in peace and stay centered. And not have people unravel us. It's hard. It's hard. Believe me, I had to, find my center yesterday, but it's just nice when you have a lot of, people keep on reflecting back to you the truth that and you're like, okay, I'm not crazy, but it's just definitely, we have to find, we have to take out the rose-colored glasses and find our mind in times like these. So I don't want to end on the card of dishonesty here. So we're going to pull one more card, and let's see, what do I have? What do I want it to be? I'm going to use this Oracle deck. It's more of like a mindful deck. I think this would be good for us. It's called Your Wise Animal Body. Let's see what we have. We have stretch. We're going to end with this because I feel we all need to stretch our body. Stretch your body, take a walk. I don't know, maybe a walk won't even make you feel relaxed. But I do feel like let's stretch in our home or take a yoga class. Let's be around people who are also healthy for our ecosystem. But let's just take some time to stretch our body. And we're going to end there. I think this reading is actually very clear compared to last week's confusion. But I do feel like the spell is being broken, and I feel like the people who have remained intact and in integrity and sound mind, who are not under a spell or in a cult, those are the ones who are the light bearers in this dark world. And it's interesting too, as I drive and I see Trump signs and then you see the Harris signs, in my mind, I'm like, oh, if I was a slave, you would go to the Harris houses during the, Underground Railroad. That's what I think about as I flick off every Trump sign that I see. But I do think that, stretch your body, maintain your peace. You are the light in this dark world, and just know that the light will always conquer the dark. We're going to read some of the Sabian symbols here, because I think it's really interesting how even the astrology is just kind of saying, like, don't lose your integrity, don't lose your light. We're going to start with, I have a couple of different Sabian symbols. And I'm going to talk about these more in depth on my Substack that will be published tomorrow. But we are going to talk about the Sabian symbol for the full moon in Aries. We're just going to jump at that. That seems, like what everyone wants to talk about. I mean, ever since the beginning of this year, I just knew October was going to be a really big month. I was sensing it when I did over 100-year ahead readings last year and this year for 2024. So it's going to be this is a very pivotal week. This week could change it all with this full moon, and you're going to see why. So the full moon in Aries, it is at 24 degrees and 34 minutes. And with all the Sabian symbols, we're rounding up. So this is going to be 25 degrees Aries. The Sabian symbol is the possibility for man to gain experience at 2 levels of being. This is the revelation of new potentialities. And the key word here is faith. So this is applied message of one is of faith. And this is also connecting to trying to make sure that we not only stay in faith, but that we believe in ourselves. And there's 2 levels of consciousness coming in. We have like this duality here, and we can see that. We can see this, there's the consciousness of the cults, and then there's the consciousness of people who just want to live their best life and for everyone else to live their truth and their best life. And there's the positive and the negative. So a little bit about the Sabian symbol and like kind of what to anticipate on Thursday. And the Aries moon is actually it's going to start Wednesday. It's going to actually might be starting end of Tuesday, but with the degrees, but it will be an Aries full moon on Wednesday, but it will go directly full on Thursday. So a lot of this is kind of like, and this is what I'm saying too, with like the Pisces retrograde energy and Saturn and Neptune, is like things are not what they appear to be. And there's a lot here that implies, expectations and promises, and we kind of like see one thing, but something else is happening. I mean, take this as you will with how you can discern this and how you can relate to this. But there is definitely a lot of like rose-colored glasses with this Sabian symbol. Progression is a part of this. This is like one of the keywords here is, it could be an expectation of good news, of like trying to be more progressive. Yeah, it's just like also just kind of like knowing that when it comes to promises or like lack of promises, it's just like things that, are too good to be true that won't be delivered. And there's a lot of like hidden agendas with this Sabian symbol as well. But a huge part of the Sabian symbol is living in faith and, despite the duality of it all, like maintain your integrity. And yeah, it's just kind of like, don't let the negativity hurt your confidence. Better things are coming. A lot of like staying optimistic, trying to, just expecting a lot of good things. Like there's this song called Good Fortune by PJ Harvey on her album, The Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea. It's the album that won the Mercury Prize like years ago. It's like two decades ago. But it's just like, expect good fortune. It's just staying optimistic in the face of a lot of uncertainty, and like, things are not what they seem, and like plans can change. And that's what this full moon is kind of saying, but stay positive, stay optimistic, hold your truth. Don't let things deter you. And it's like what you see in the moment to be a great misfortune might actually be a miracle. So there's a lot of blessings in disguise with the Sabian symbol. So we'll kind of see what's going to come out in the next 48 hours or so. So I think that's, interesting. One thing I didn't think about until now, I just wanted to look at the Sabian symbol for 25 degrees Libra. The sight of an autumn leaf brings to a pilgrim the sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death. The ability to discover in every experience a transcendent or cosmic meaning. So it's like clairseeing, like clairvoyance, seeing through. And every death is an omen of rebirth. So we'll kind of see what happens here. But there is something that's going to change and shift. And yeah, nothing is what it seems. So, take the high road, expect good fortune, and believe in miracles. We're going to talk about the Sabian symbol. I know this is kind of a long reading. I spent a lot of time on the tarot, but we're going to talk about the Sabian symbol here for after this full moon in Aries. We're going to have a couple of days where there's not like any crazy aspects going on. So that says something to me. We're going to have not really anything for like 4 to 5 days. So something's being processed that comes to light. But the Sabian symbol that I want to talk about, just also look a little bit quickly, is Libra at 30 degrees. And this is right before we move. The sun moves into Scorpio season on the 22nd. I just want to talk about Libra at 30 degrees and how we're ending this zodiac sign, how we're ending this Libra season. So sorry, I should have tagged these. So the Libra 30 degrees, and this is probably why we're going to have a couple of days of like no aspects, major aspects here, is 3 mounds of knowledge on a philosopher's head. The fulfillment of man's power of understanding at whatever level of existence the person operates. And this is a holistic approach to knowledge. And it's interesting because Libras they have such a hard time making a decision, and it's like a little bit of like overwhelmingness with the Sabian symbol. There's just a lot coming in. And it's also just like a lot about the Sabian symbol talks about the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Like you can have all the knowledge in the world, it doesn't make you wise. And like vice versa, you can be super wise, but you might not have a lot of knowledge on certain things. And you can't teach wisdom. Wisdom is through experience. And that's like a lot of, and I feel like maybe, some people fall into both categories, but I feel like most people usually fall into one or another. Like, I feel like I fall more into the wisdom category. I know I have a lot of wisdom that I give in my life. But some people are like very book smart, but doesn't mean they have the street smarts. But, this is like really kind of talking about like how we have to, have time to process a lot of new knowledge coming in. And, I think this Libra season brought a lot, and there's a lot of different perspectives to try to comprehend at this time. It's also like seeing the future, but it also requires us to reflect on the past and the present. So there's a lot of like patterns coming in. And I don't know, maybe like some of these spells can be broken that some of these people are under who are in this cult. But I mean, we would like to have faith. I mean, it's just, you really think about it, like next year, we're going to have Neptune in Aries. The last time this happened was the Civil War. And you just see so much of this mirroring in 2024 of how you have the Confederate and you have the Union, you have the Trump supporters, and you have people who are who are the Democrats. And it's definitely, you can see this polarization happening and the mentality, and it's just, but then you also just, you just have to hope and believe in change. And, a lot of people, they feel bad for their racist families that, they came from the deep South, or they came from racist families, back when Neptune was in Aries, and then they make amends for that behavior. And some people are outright Ku Klux Klan racists, and They're not hiding it anymore, but that's how it was, not only during the Civil War and before, but also in the 60s and also like with segregation. And it's deep rooted in our country. But I just feel like, we have to evolve. We have to recognize and we have to put a stop to patterns that are repeating the past and move towards the future. And that's the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is the age of the people. It's very optimistic usually, but it causes like a lot of change. And Aquarius's ruling planet is Uranus, and Uranus is a lot of unpredictability. There's no sense of control. There's no sense of order. It's the future, but the future is unknown. And we just have to kind of be on our toes when we're in a very Uranian time. And we'll be seeing that as we move into Pluto going into Aquarius next month. But there's a lot of reflecting on experience and reflecting on when is enough enough? When do we need to just, stop moving towards the past and move towards the future? Make America great again, but for who? White people? My family's been here since the 1700s. So, if anything, we built this country. But I just feel like we need to let go of this old limited view and focus on the future. And that's Aquarius. Focus on the wisdom of the future with the knowledge of the past. That's the Sabian symbol for 30 degrees Libra. When it comes to a trine with Mercury trining Saturn, this is when we have a lot of information available to us. This is when we feel like, okay, it's like we've studied and then we have the test in front of us and we're able to pass the test because Saturn gave us the discipline to study and we're being presented with the questions that we spent so long laboring over so that we can answer them successfully. It's also with Mercury trining Saturn, it's a positive aspect. Things can flow, ideas can flow. It feels pretty positive, but it's in Scorpio and Pisces. So a lot of this is like esoteric. A lot of it is intuitive, and this is like intuitive symbolic language. With the Sabian symbols for 14 degrees Scorpio, we're going to read that really, really fast. And then we'll read 14 degrees Pisces. It's like interesting. Like, I can't believe Mercury's already in Scorpio. It just feels really strange. So this is a telephone lineman at work, installing new connections. The need to establish new channels of communication. So this is comprehension and the will to associate. So it's a lot about communication and it's community and it's growth within the community. And some people, whatever news that comes about with this full moon on Thursday, is going to shut some people down. And this is kind of saying like, no, we have to talk about things. We can't just, resort to being nonverbal and just keeping things to ourselves. And I think this is very positive of like, we're having the hard conversations, we're, doing the healing, we're doing the work. And, this is Saturn. It's like a lot of things brought up to light, a lot of frustration, but we have the means necessary to communicate and articulate our feelings and to comprehend each other's lived experience. And this is about new connections of people linking up. It can be social media, it's networking, it's picking up the phone, text messaging. So it's like we're physically using the tools that we have to communicate. We're physically using them with people. And it is just like this widespread type of chatter. But we're reaching out to people. We're trying to get clarity, but it's also we're reaching out to complete knowledge. It's like, okay, wow, like you saw that too, cool, like confirmation. And it's also like sharing our ideas with the collective consciousness. There's a lot of openness, exchange, a lot of new ideas. communion, consciousness, Eureka. There's just like so much like mental processes coming in, and like Saturn's kind of giving us this breakthrough. And I think it's, whatever results on, the end of this week is going to really kind of bring into next week this new form of transparency. 14 degrees Pisces here. I'm going to read the Sabian symbol. So this is a lady wrapped in a large stole of fox fur. The use of intelligence and mental subtlety as a protection against storms and trials. And this has to do with protective shielding, glamour, using glamour as a shield. And I love the Sabian symbol because it just reminds me of like the 1950s, 60s movie stars, kind of like Marilyn Monroe, or just like this beautiful, feminine, like powerful siren energy, and just dressed really well, talks the talk, walks the walks, very intelligent, and just has a lot of composure and can really influence a room. So, I mean, of course, we don't have to use this gender as a woman, but it's just the energy of a powerful woman with a lot of social grace. And she is very clever, beautiful, intelligent. And she also has wit as well. She's funny. And it's like, you've seen those movies of this glamorous woman who just kind of captivates the men in the room. And they're at like her beck and call. And that's just what the Sabian symbol is. And like the fox fur, but we have to remember the fox fur, fox, it's very, clever. It's very conniving. It's cunning energy, and it's for a reason. It's a little manipulative, but in order to get our way, we have to manipulate sometimes. And I just feel like a lot of freedom of expression. It's like our inner qualities and potential coming out into the world. We are honoring our worth based off of our experience, but it's also, our capabilities, and we're displaying them, but we're displaying them with grace, or someone's going to be displaying them with grace to try to get what they want and trying to get their seat at the table. And I feel like Saturn is kind of saying, I have no problem with having this happen. And Mercury is also, there's an alternative motive here, but it's for the right reason. We need, someone to, who has the beauty, grace, the intelligence, and wit. I mean, that sounds like someone that we all know, Kamala, but we need someone to come in and kind of make their way in some of these social circles and to make change. And that's what Saturn's kind of allowing. We want to keep Saturn happy in astrology. Saturn's a very difficult planet. And I think it's very positively aspected here. The last Sabian symbols we're going to talk about today, and how we're going to end, is with Venus trining the North Node. And this is also on the 22nd. This is going to be, we're going to read the Sabian symbol for Sagittarius at 6 degrees, and then Aries at 6 degrees. So we're going to look at Aries, or actually we'll look at Sag first. So let's see here. Okay. So the Sabian symbol for Sagittarius at 6 degrees is a game of cricket. The keynote is the development of skill in group situations, testing collective goals. And it's group solidarity. And this is where Venus is at. Venus is very interesting in Sagittarius. I don't know, it's kind of fun to me. I like it. It's a little lighthearted, but cricket is a very serious game. Cricket is all about the rules. And when you play by the rules, it really shows like your integrity. And it's just very much the group consciousness of wanting to play by the rules, wanting to do what's right. And in cricket, there's no cheating. Cheating is not an option. If you cheat, it's kind of, you're looked down upon and people won't want to play with you. But it's all about good sportsmanship and civilized behavior, equal teamwork, and making sure that you have a high vibration. You have the high vibe and the low vibe. The Sabian symbol for 6 degrees Aries, let's see here. This is our last Sabian symbol for this week. And this is interesting because my Sabian symbol is 7 degrees Aries, but you always want to look at the Sabian symbol before and after yours. And so this Sabian symbol is also really connected to me personally. So the Sabian symbol for Aries at 6 degrees is a square with one of its sides brightly illuminated. The keynote, the emotional desire for concrete and stabilized existence as a person. So it's the desire for individualization, but there's also this sense of inner stability. It's like an urge for inner stability. And it's just really kind of saying, like, making sure that we stay positive, like being positive is a part of our nature. And that's something I really want to like drill into the collective with Aries energy, is that Aries is a very optimistic sign. If you know any Aries, including me, like, Aries are very fun, happy, people, very optimistic. And where the astrology is moving until 2032, it's going to be very Aries driven. So it's going to be optimistic, but we also have the duality of Aries, which is that, famous anger and that warrior-esque energy fighting. So we're going to have that duality. But this is kind of saying, staying positive, really making sure that your positivity kind of lights up new situations for you. And it's a lot of creative problem solving and solution, but we're also like listening to ourselves or listening to others to try to create a solution to these problems. And it's like we're looking for the light and we're heading towards it. It's just kind of like I was saying with the tarot cards, like these cards, there's a lot of optimism and we have to look for the light. We want a leader who can lead and uplift and bring people up, not bring people down. And that's where we're moving. We're moving with someone who has strong Aries energy, Kamala's full moon. And then we also have someone who is a bearer of light, a beacon of light and positivity. And that's what we're moving towards. It's going to be interesting because this Sabian symbol is going to come back around when we have Neptune going into 6 degrees Aries next year. So let's kind of see how this comes back around. But it's just kind of saying, like, we're not going to surrender to the dark. We're not going to surrender to our frustrations, and we're not going to be limited in our thinking. We have to make sure we focus on the positivity. And it's also focusing on our values, being authentic to ourselves. And we really want to make sure that we're not going to give up on integrity. We're not going to give up on a positive future, not for ourselves, but for all. So it's very beautiful. And it's like playing by the rules. We're going to do what's right. We're going to step into integrity. We're not going to step into dishonesty or cheating. We're going to smash the illusions. I'm ready for Neptune to get out of Pisces. I know it's at home in Pisces, but I think it's going to be really refreshing. I mean, we saw with Uranus in Aries what that did the past 11, 12, 13 years ago. But yeah, I think the Sabian symbols are really interesting. And I just feel like, I don't know, and especially with some of the videos I'm going to share and with the articles I've been reading this morning from other astrologers' Substacks and a lot of other incredible journalists, a lot of their Substacks. I read for 3 hours this morning about just so many different things that I felt really low. I felt really low yesterday. I know a lot of us have been feeling it, but we have to focus on the light. That's why we're here. And we're here at the 9 of Cups. We're here to focus on our beautiful gifts and talents and abilities and to see them through in our life. We're here to bring a seat to our table, to our own tables. We're here to create our own tables. And we all need to focus on just staying within peace, staying within our integrity with the Empress here. And that is going to create abundance and prosperity in our life. So don't let the dark keep you down. It's an illusion. We're going to focus on the high vibration, spiritual commitment of Pisces, not the ego. So that is the reading. I know this was a lot more clear than last week's. Thank you so much. I know it was a little long, but I think it's very powerful. I think we all needed this. And let's just make sure, we stretch our body. And I will see you next week. And so much blessings, optimism, and hope for you all. All right. Thank you.